So I made a video a couple of weeks ago about this camera, this Nikon FE2 that I had recently got. And I was like, oh, I need to shoot with this thing so I can sell it. I've never shot with one of these before, so I don't know really what to say about it when I try to sell it. I've now shot with it. I got the photos developed, and I wanted to make a 3-part series where I did talk about it, did a video while I was shooting with it, and then did this review video. However, as per usual, I didn't record much while I was shooting it. So there's no second video. This is the second video. It's just going to be me talking about some pictures I took and my experience with the camera. I have a few shots, none of which I'm like particularly fond of, but there's a few goodies in here. Just driving down the road. I've not shot with the 28mm in a very long time, like regularly. I really wanted to commit myself to shooting with this 28mm. And you can see here that my framing sucks. The subject matter makes no sense. It's just a little hula doll in my dashboard. But, you know, it's a sharp lens. So we got that going for me. I believe this was all auto-metered too, and I think it did a pretty good job. I'm shooting on a pretty expired roll of film, but I think that there's some good detail there. There's some good information that can be pulled. Here's another wide shot of the 76 station on my way into work, because that's mostly when I take photos now, is on my commute to and from work, because I feel like I'm just always doing that. Awesome. This shot here, I'm going to end up tweaking a little bit because it was a really nice sunset, and I think that the metering was trying to pull from the mixture of really, really dark foreground and then that really blown out and exposed background of the sky. And it did an okay job. The film doesn't have a lot of latitude on it because it is expired, but it does look, you know, interesting to some degree. I think I was able to crush the shadows a little bit more. It, you know, would pull a little bit more detail from it, but I'm pretty happy with it. We have this other one, kind of a same story here. You get a little bit of the chimney, and I kind of wanted this to be a silhouetting shot. And there's a bit of interesting tint to it, but that has nothing to do with the camera. That's more or less the film itself. And that's kind of the argument that needs to be made here about the quality of the camera cannot really be discussed all the time by the pictures that it takes, because there's that huge component there, which is the film that you're using. Now, I wasn't using, you know, on par film because it was expired. Ergo, the quality is subject to question. The experience of living with this camera and shooting with it is a different story altogether. And I kind of want to touch on that a little bit here now, because it's great. Like, I've got no complaints about it overall, especially with this case on. I think it kind of bulks it out in just the right way for, you know, good grip. Overall, the shooting style is fairly simplistic. The viewfinder is incredibly bright. I feel like I can see all that's going on. I like the option of being able to choose all your speeds, and then also having that little auto is cool as well. There's obviously some issues I have with it. For one, I've never really been a big fan of the advance lever having to be protruded for the camera to be turned on. I think for me, I just like this feel a little bit more than having to pop it out, especially if I'm bringing my eye up to it, or if I was left-eyed, you know, I'm shooting through here, which I'm kind of left eye dominant, I'll be honest. But if I'm shooting through here, I got this thing like jabbing me in the face. So that's a bit of an issue. So I kind of have to resort to my, the lesser of my two eyes, if you will. And it's, you know, it's just different. It's a different feeling. But overall, I enjoy this camera quite a bit. I didn't really have any issues with it. The one minor point of concern is it is pretty big, that FE big body, but I do think it compensates for that because it can do a lot of things that the FE and the FM can't do, which is shoot at 1/4000th of a second. And that was actually put on display in this later photo here that I got, which is just a remarkably terrible photo of these traffic cones, or whatever, you know, traffic pillar things. This was walking around the building I work at on my little break, because I just wanted to finish up this roll so I could make this video, realizing that I hadn't made the middle video that I had thought I would make. So anyway, shot this at 1/4000th of a second, and turned out pretty good, I would say. It gives you a lot of ability to shoot wide open in a very bright condition as it was. And you can kind of see that in the depth of field. Even shooting with the 28mm lens, we still have a very harsh fall off that. I like a good sharp depth of field. And that can't really be achieved with a lot of other cameras. So for that, I would say that the size kind of makes up for it. I'm just kind of a sucker for a smaller camera. I'm like a really big fan of the MX, as people might know, the ME Super, even the OM1 to some degree. I enjoy that because it's very small. I feel like I can do more with it. I feel more inclined to take it with me because I can fit it in a little bag. I can fit it in my pocket, you know. This, I would be having a really hard time getting it anywhere without, you know, the obvious, oh, you have a camera with you. So kind of a moot point, because I do think it, you know, offers a lot in terms of functionality that those other systems don't have. Higher flash sync speed, and overall like a really solid construction. But my minor points would be the on-off switch here. I'm not a big fan of. I think overall there's a little bit too much of a ratchety sound on the Advance that it just doesn't really sit well with me. And I think mainly because I've used so many of these that are like in broken condition, that there's still that little part of me that's like, is this really working? Even though I now have evidence to prove that it is working, even though I tested it rigorously to test that it is indeed working, I'm still just like, I don't know. So for that reason, I am going to sell it. And my main concern with starting this video was like, maybe I'm going to fall in love with it. And maybe it's going to be an F3 situation all over again. I'm going to come to find myself really liking this Nikon camera. And I do. I really do like it. However, I don't like it enough. I find myself wanting this to be things that it's not. I find myself really enjoying it. But for the most part, I am more than happy to pass it along to somebody who will actually get full use out of it and enjoyment. So, with that being said, that is my final thoughts on the Nikon FE2. I think it's a great camera. I don't think it's for me necessarily, but that's okay. That's kind of the point of all these videos, is that there are things that I like that people think is weird, and there are things that people like that I think is weird, and that's okay. We're all allowed to have our own opinions. I think this is a great camera, not for me, so that was all. That was the Nikon FE2 Experience. Thank you for watching. Appreciate it as always. Make sure to like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel and all that good stuff. If you have any questions, issues, whatever, comment them down below. Would love to hear your thoughts. That is all for now, and catch you on the next one.